Welcome to Eliminating Excuses with SMA. I'm your host, Sheila Marie Anderson, and I am excited to come to you today. We're going to have a very laid-back, transparent conversation with one of my Promote Her sisters again today. And when I tell you, we're going to discuss all kinds of dynamics as it relates to not dealing with business and then coming back to business, transitions as it relates to divorce and marriage and all of these wonderful children that we have to deal with. It is so fun, right? Okay, no, but seriously, I want you to make sure that you come back because we are doing all things business, all things relational. We're going to bring this right on in together. So come back with us, grab a pen and paper because there's always notes to be taken.
Welcome to the sweet y'all. Welcome to the Vitamin M Sweet with Carrie. Yeah, she give all the support to black entrepreneurs. Yeah, the Vitamin M, we inviting them in to what she created, much appreciated, and it can't be recreated. Black people got the keys to the locks now. We gon' make it. Get a taste of culture, embrace the face that's taking over, replacing Oprah. It's all black everything, every day. Get up, stand up, fight for your rights, but be a heavyweight. Yeah, and they gon' hate, but you let them hate. Long as they don't cross them lines like the letter H. You just stay on your grind until you elevate. Then set a date with Carrie so she can tell it straight. Cause if it ain't real, they can tell it's fake. But this is black excellence, let's celebrate.
Welcome back to another fun episode of Eliminating Excuses with SMA. Now listen, this show, I want to make it fun for you, but I also want you to have the information. So we're going to laugh, but I need you to hear the seriousness behind every word and every tone. So with that being said, my awesome guest is Miss Tracy Renay Hilton Hayes. Mm-hmm. Listen, I didn't call you by your whole government.
My whole government name.
And she is actually going to be here, like she's here today because we want to talk about, so there's so many different dynamics with you, right? So we're going to start with business. Okay. And the Shampoo Mate, which is her business, and you'll talk about that. She'll talk about that, I promise you, because you want to get it. Shampoo Mate started
in 2013.
Okay.
Honestly.
And then what happened with that?
Okay, so I started in 2013, as you just mentioned. Was doing great. First of all, this was a product that had never been on the market. So I had to prove a concept for something. So I was doing very well. My trajectory was going just as crazy. And then 2015, it seemed like the bottom started cracking underneath my feet.
What did that look like?
That looked like going into the year, my oldest daughter had surgery. She had torn her ACL. So we went through that. Shortly after that, my last living grandparent passed away in April of that year. Then the same year, October of that year, my only sibling, my baby sister, passed away. Well, she was found in her apartment in Chicago, had been deceased for 3 days. We didn't even know it.
Wow.
So that was the start of the ground just cracking underneath me.
Yes.
I tried to keep everything together, but it was bad.
Yes.
And then so shortly after she passed in October of that year, my father went into ICU that same year. So now here I am back and forth flying to Chicago again, only for my dad to pass away a year and a half later.
Now wait, before you go there, let me first say we are both from Chicago.
Yeah.
Now she's from the South Side, and I don't hold that against her. I'm from the West Side. And so I love that we can still come and sit here together.
Absolutely.
But the one thing that I want to make sure that we are addressing along the way is these excuses, right?
Right.
A lot of times we as people, we're like, no excuses. And no, that is not the life that we live.
Right.
It's not about not having any excuses or any valid reasons. It's about eliminating them. And so she's now experienced 2 deaths.
2 deaths.
You've experienced grandma, is it grandma?
My grandmother.
Yes, so
Last
grandma,
one.
and then we have the business that's crackling because of it.
Right.
And so plenty of reasons to just say, you know what? Oh, and daughter in her surgery, and you know when you're a caring mom, you're always about the children.
Absolutely.
So it's like, okay, everything halt, my baby, even though she the old,
Absolutely.
my baby,
Right.
my baby. But
She
so
can't
now,
stand when I say that.
I know. Don't you know these children? We'll talk about them later because you know they're a mess. But now you've had all these excuses. So now where are we going? What else happened?
So once my father passed in April of 2017, September of 2017, I get divorced from my husband of 24 years, guys. We were together a total of 27 years, and we divorced actually 2 weeks before what would have been our 24th wedding anniversary.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so you talk about excuses. I could have wallowed in all of that.
All of it. Rightfully so.
Yeah, and I did. There was a time when I had to look at everything and say, okay, Tracy, I hadn't had a time to grieve anything, but I still had my business that was operating, and I was trying to go live, kind of sharing with everybody what was actually going on with me. I had some customers like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, they were with me along the way. But then there, of course, were others that were just, didn't want to rock with me any longer. And in the midst of that, because I knew I was starting to go left with the business, I brought somebody in to help me work my business. And instead of her shipping products out, she was turning around and reselling them here in Houston.
What?
Yeah.
So this, I almost called. Okay. So we're on TV.
So
this beautiful woman
took
your product.
Took the products that should have been shipped to customers, paid customers now.
Yes.
And was reselling them here.
I tell you about
and so,
your
of course, that's a whole nother issue, but that's been resolved. Bless the Lord for that, because I walk in divine favor with God and with man. So that situation was taken care of. But again, it still did not stop me from saying, okay, first you got to get yourself healed. You got to go through that process in order to be able to get back out, because I knew I still had a great business.
Right.
I knew what I have, everybody wanted.
Wait, now before you go to the resolution of what you had to do, because we'll talk about that next.
Okay.
But let's also address the separation, because we know we were created for relationship.
Absolutely.
We were created to love, to be loved, to have a relationship.
Absolutely.
And so I have experience with the whole, when you get divorced, those wonderful relationships, the support system you thought you had is now diminished, right?
Absolutely.
So then you now have that aspect, because people took sides, right? So now you're out here not having the support that you thought you should have, because you thought these were solid relationships.
Absolutely. It's funny in that I've been looking over my life the last few years, and I'm like, you know what? Everything was so divine.
Yes.
Those relationships that the key word you said was thought.
Yes.
That I thought I had genuinely did not love Tracy the person. They loved the image of whom they thought Tracy was.
Yes.
And that was my being too, because I allowed people to put labels on me, and I started living up to the labels that they put on me.
Come on.
And so when I realized what I was doing, it was like, child, wait a minute. Everybody that fell apart were supposed to fall apart, because they were only a part of my life for a certain season.
Yes.
That season has ended.
And then we are going to talk about what this new season looks like. Look at, can't y'all tell? Do you see her face? This girl is blushing and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to talk about the comeback, because that was an amazing.
Absolutely.
Even with this year and our connections that we have. So we're going to talk about that when we come back. But I want you to please come back, because we're going to laugh some more. We're going to talk some more. And prayerfully, we're not going to cry, because this is a whole lot of good emotions that are going on right now. Okay? So come back. We'll be right back with you. Welcome back to Eliminating Excuses with SMA. Now, we've been talking about some good things about transitioning in life and in business, and what happens when life happens, with my good friend Tracy Renay Hilton Hayes. And I will not stop saying your full name, because that is exactly how you're saved in my phone.
Oh, wow.
So, but before we went on break, we talked about all of the life that happened to you.
Right.
We won't go back through there. But there was a transitional piece. There was a place where things started to shift for you. Where did the shift start?
The shift started when I moved back into my home. See, I had built a home for all of us to move into. We moved out of that home because I had lost my job in the oil and gas industry. So we moved out of that home, moved into another lease property. That home never sold. So after staying with one of my sorority sisters for a month, just casually talking to another girlfriend, and she was like, well, Tracy, you still have your home. Why don't you move back? I moved back into a 3,300 square foot home, completely empty. There was nothing in the home. I didn't even have a refrigerator in there. And so I moved back in, and I slept on the floor for a while, and that was the start of my transition. And I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know what that felt like, but all I knew in the moment was that there was something that was happening with me. Now, let me back up. A few years prior to that, I knew a transition was about to take place in my life, but I couldn't figure it out. Didn't know what was going on. And then all of this stuff happened, and it did not dawn on me until I got in that house, in the alone time, in the quiet time, in the still of the night, when it hit me that I had been living for somebody else for so many years that it was time for me to come out. It was time for my season, me to come out of a valley season. Because so many times you mentioned us being mothers and wives, we're living and we're just going day to day doing those things that we truly forget about who we are at the core. And then once we lose that, it's like, okay, where do I go from here? And so I had to go through that phase, and then the Lord showed me all of the people that needed to transition out of my life and where I was going and what I needed to do. And the catalyst of that was having a dream about my little sister who had passed. And she told me she was disappointed in me.
Oh, no.
She said she was disappointed because she saw the fake smile that I had plastered on my face. And she was the closest somebody to me. And to have that dream of my sister telling me how disappointed she was and that she was ready for me to start living my life, because that's what my sister did. My sister was the life of the party. She would get up and travel at the drop of a dime, even though she wasn't married and had children, but still hearing so many stories about her and how she just lived life to the fullest. And it was like, Tracy, it's your time.
So
and that's
let me
when it
ask
started.
you this. Well, before we go there, one, the first thing she did was become aware of who she was. She went through her process to find Tracy.
Right. And that was a long process.
Not Tracy with the married name, but Tracy outside of everybody else. Tracy outside of the children. Tracy outside of the husband or the marriage that had failed.
The Tracy Hilton, who I was born as.
The Tracy Hilton.
That's it.
And so that was the first process. And then in that moment, because one of the things I found out is that for me, when I stopped focusing on others and became real for Sheila, then the things that I had been desperately wanting actually manifested.
Started to manifest.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so I think a lot of times, and you know, people that try to have children and things like that, you know, it's a lot of times the stress of it all causes you not to even be able to receive.
Absolutely.
It's the whole vibe, the whole energy, everything that happens. So when you did that, you got a whole new good mane.
Absolutely.
Your business has now shifted. I mean, you were making, like, I don't want to tell your story, but what shifted, what happened, what extra happened once you decided to become Tracy?
So once the shift happened, ironically, I met my husband, had never met him before. And the crazy part was I had some girlfriends who had gone through divorce and had been divorced for many, many years. And they kept saying, oh, there's no good men out here. That's a laugh in the pit of hell.
Absolutely.
I was not going to feed into that foolishness at all. I just kept saying, once you get yourself together, then the good man that God has for you will show up. And that's what I started doing. And the crazy part is I was still in the middle of my transition when I met my husband, my current husband, that is. and, you know, to be able to have someone who truly loves the Lord, who also, same as me, had gone through a divorce before and who had taken the time to heal himself and go through that process, he saw that in me and was like, oh, no, ma'am, you were made for much greater than this. Awesome. We are not going to live like this.
And he pushed you for business.
And he pushed me.
Yes.
He was the one that pushed me. And so, you know, the getting to know each other phase and stuff like that, when he found out about my shampoo mate, he had started researching. He had Googled me. Started researching, and then he came back to me one day. He was out visiting me at my home and was like, babe, so what you gonna do with this? Because mind you, I still had inventory at the house. And he was like, well, babe, what are you gonna do about this? And I was like, well, I'm not sure just yet. I want to get back out, but I'm a little afraid because I don't know what the marketplace is going to say because all of the, the changing and the shifting that had taken place. And he was like, absolutely not.
Yes.
And he is a man of action. He wakes up in the morning and he has some sort of harebrained plan, and it is executed before the end of the night.
Wow.
And so having him to push and be the man that he is, and he's an entrepreneur as well, all of that fueled and pushed me to get right on back out.
Very good.
Doing that, of course, I reconnected with a former mentor who I had met at the SCORE program, told him what was going on.
That was Mark E. Davenport.
Mark E. Davenport,
Oh,
the wealth strategist of Straight to the Top.
Yes.
Absolutely. And Mark says, okay, Tracy, come on, and went on to his show. And I did so well the first episode, people wanted me back. They wanted to hear more about this manufacturing and all of that stuff. Did that, and then, of course, now here I am as a part of Promote Her Network.
Yes.
And business is just flourishing. The trajectory of my business has totally changed. I beat my 2019 goals in March of 2020 at the start of a pandemic.
Wow.
Yeah. So business is great, but it wasn't until I eliminated all of the excuses and I got busy working on self.
Now listen, I know that was a lot for you all to digest, and we're going to come back with a little more for you to digest. But what I wanted you to know is that it is possible. You've heard her story. It is possible. So when we come back, you'll find out how to connect with her, what Shampoo Mate is about, how you can find out how to purchase your Shampoo Mate, and we'll be back soon. So make sure you come back now. We have a little more to discuss.
I'm trying to see what we doing. I want to be like John Lewis. I know that I'm just...
Are you the go-to for your family or business? Where will they go when you go? I'm Melissa West, creator of Fit for Legacy, where I empower leaders to create generational plans for success. Stop being afraid to die. Put a plan in place for your legacy. With your Legacy Life Plan, we move you from what if to what's next. Visit fitforlegacy.com for your plan today.
We got all the juice, got it from my roots, yeah.
Welcome back, and I am so glad that you have been sticking with us so that you can find out not about not having excuses, but how to eliminate them. So, my guest, my friend, Miss Tracy Renay Hilton Hayes. I know. Quickly tell us what Shampoo Mate is, and then tell us how we can find you.
Okay. So the Shampoo Mate is an ergonomically designed neck rest that supports a child when they're getting their hair shampooed at home, typically at the kitchen sink. Now, I know many of you have seen somebody get their hair shampooed or may have possibly gotten your hair shampooed. So I eliminate the shampoo day blues thanks to the Shampoo Mate. The Shampoo Mate can be found on the website, theshampoomate.com. Trust me, your children will love getting their hair shampooed. And I tell everybody that it's kid tested and mom approved.
See, I love that. Now, that's good. That's good.
Yes,
so
indeed.
what we're going to do is we're going to take one last break, but I want you all to please make sure that you go out and search theshampoomate.com. It is a very good product. When I tell you my daughter was sitting there and we actually played with it, absolutely fun. Like, she was like, oh, Mom, and she wanted to get her iPad. I'm like, okay, we can't throw the iPad in water. And
Yeah, no, we don't want to do
But
that.
Anyway, we'll be back in a moment to further discuss just a little bit of what you need to know in order to eliminate excuses just in life in general. So stay tuned. We'll be back. Hello, 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 hello. Okay, no, I'm not going to do that. I just want to thank you all for staying this journey with us. It is never difficult to experience life and to still, especially when you have people depending on you, even if you don't have children, there's always someone looking for you to eliminate excuses. And so I am grateful that my special guest, Tracy Renay Hilton Hayes, I was going to try not to do it that last time, but then I'm like, be consistent,
Hey.
That's how you eliminate excuses,
Being
consistent.
consistent.
But I want to make sure that you tell people again, if you have any social media handles, but also your website, so that they can go on right now, so you can see those spikes in the looks on your website.
I like that, the
yes,
engagement.
because we want them to go, not just show up,
Right.
but click the button
That's right.
and pay
And pay.
with
That's
the good
right.
money. And you have product as well. So
Absolutely.
please share. I'm sorry. Look, let me hush. Go ahead.
So you can find me on all social media platforms at shampoomate.com. And the website again is theshampoomate.com. Again, all of the social media is Shampoo Mate, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, all of that great stuff. Of course, you can always find me as well. I'm tracyrenay.com. And that's pretty much it. I'm just
Awesome.
everywhere.
We are all everywhere. So I want to thank you all for staying this route with us. This trip was amazing. I am so grateful for the opportunity to just have conversation. If you have a story and if you have dealt with some things in life and you want to come on the show, please be sure to reach out to me, Sheila at executewithsma.com. You can definitely email me and I can get you on the show, because it is very important that people know that real life stories happen and we are still being successful and progressing in a pandemic. So going forward, I want you to continue to learn balance, grow in your perspective, and you have to be accountable to someone. Okay? I will see you next Sunday at 6 p.m. your time. Do not worry.